Who are we or what are we? This is really an essential question. Welcome! Today we talk about some really essential questions. Who are we or what are we? What are we is probably a little bit easier to explain or to find out, because science can give us some hints, or not hints, but even more to think about what we are. The other question, who are we, is a little bit more going into philosophy and a little bit more tricky to answer. Well, during time, people thought of different means how we came into it in our existence. So normally it started with creation stories in different religions. So, for instance, a god created humanity or mankind and came into existence. That's a very basic story, but this story comes over in different cultures, more or less identical. But things change rapidly. People thought about there was something before, and they looked, for instance, to fossils and thought, okay, that were organisms, and they're now organisms in stones. So when did they get created? Or did they get created just as fossils by the gods? Just put into stone to say us something? There are some questions, and then people found other things. They found, for instance, tools made of stones, ancient, very ancient tools, in caves, for instance, or in doing their fields. So there had to be a little bit more to the story, and science went on, and history. And this all came up at the end to Charles Darwin, that changed the course of history, because he wrote a little book called On the Origin of Species. And from that time on, religion and the story of creations were not the main issues anymore. Because through the theory that Darwin put out there, he could explain how different living beings came into existence. Animals, plants, how they developed, that we basically have here ancient snail, ancient jellyfish or whatever, and from this jellyfish on you can trace back the species that are existing today. And this was something extremely big, because till this point, till this book, people still believed in the creation stories, ancient ones, some over 2,000 years old, 3,000 years old. But then this all crumbled a little bit. And the next big step came around 150 years later, because then those little machines here got invented. This is a PCR cycler. With this you can profile your genetics, or the genetics of any plant or animal. And what scientists found out then was even more crumbling than this book, because they found out, for instance, that we have 99% of our genes in common with chimpanzees. Yes, 99%. So 1% of our genes make us different from the apes. Yes. So, considering those developments, you could easily say, okay, we are animals. And from that time on, we also got a scientific name. We are Homo sapiens sapiens, as registered. Our species name registered just like that. Yeah, well, that is one part of the story. So basically, in the biological sense, we are animals. But we are considering ourselves to be a little bit more than that. Because of one thing, we are self-aware about ourselves. And this self-awareness kicked in around 2,500 years ago, when philosophers in Greece, for instance, were thinking about the universe. How is everything made about? The atom came into existing during that time already as the smallest dividable particle of anything. And then there was Socrates. Socrates said, well, I know that I know nothing, because he saw the world and he couldn't explain everything. So he just said, well, I'm thinking, but you know, I know nothing actually, but that I know. And then I took another 1800 years around, and then René Descartes appeared. And he said this famous phrase, cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. So here is kicking in the self-awareness. We are thinking about ourselves. We are aware of ourselves. And only because we are thinking, we are already. Yeah, this is big stuff. But what are we? Or who are we? This is something else, and this question is answered individually actually, because we are what we think we are, kind of. We define ourselves. We define if we are religious, if we believe in something, or we don't believe in something. We are how we dress up, what we like, and what we are not liking. And to put it together, well, it's our character that is forming. We can be good, we can be bad, we can be both. So basically, we self-decide who we are. Well, I hope you enjoyed this small video about the question, who are we and what are we? And if you like it, I would also appreciate it. And of course, you can subscribe to this channel too. I hope to see you next time. Bye.